Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government. Do you still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center?
And I'm probably going to air some excerpts from last night's InfoWars Nightly News here. Walt Chapman's on with us with Sherry Tenpenny, where she agreed that it looks like there's evidence the Gardasil is actually an autoimmune weapon purposely designed to implant the cancer virus into the DNA of the body. So we'll be breaking that down as well coming up. It's a jam-packed transmission. Yeah, well, no more Mr. Nice Guy with the New World Order. You guys have all written white papers and admitted you're putting cancer viruses in the vaccines. We're going to wake up the general public, then we're going to have Nuremberg trials, and then we're going to hang you by your little pencil necks. You got that? You got that? You can kill me all day long. In the end, you're going to get it. You know it. Just get that through your little brain out there. Okay, getting back to this information, I will have a report on this tonight. I'm going to show you the highest cancer rates in the world. I bet you could guess where those are. It corresponds with highest vaccination rates. And I'm going to show you all the mainline science on fluoride turbocharging cancer and turbocharging breast cancer. You see, there's all these well-meaning parents that watch their little girls and little boys die of cancer and sell the house to pay for the treatment, and it all gets sucked out of the family by the $800 billion a year murder cult. And then they actually get the families to go out and raise money more for the American Cancer Society. At the top of it, you guessed it, nothing but eugenicists running it. All these well-meaning people. And see, by controlling the movement to fight cancer, they control and make sure there's never a cure for it, and that they shelve all of those, or that you're not told that you're actually being given cancer by design. Oh, these are very sick people. And we're going to be exposing it tonight on InfoWars Nightly News. Again, here's an article. Young Nuggets fan inspired others during valiant cancer fight at a time in her life when most 10-year-olds were making Christmas lists. Michaela Steffs had a bucket list. There were certain things she wanted to do before she died. Yeah, there's some things I want to do before I die, too. That's exposed the people doing this. Michaela always thought of others before herself, so the list focused on her immediate family. She wanted to give them something to remember her after she was gone. Thousands of these articles every week. You can go read them. And the system even knows how to make money off of it. That's why the globalists are in control. And you would never imagine they're that wicked. For her dad, she painted a picture of two of them dancing in the rain. Oh, that just tears your heart out when you got daughters. My daughter came in with me a little picture she drew this morning. I want you to know, most of you who've lost your kids, this cancer was unheard of in children 50 years ago. For her mom, Michaela found a special necklace during a Mother's Day at the mall. And for her little brother, Wyatt, she brought him presents and dedicated an entire day to being nice to him. As for herself, there was one thing Michaela wanted that she couldn't buy in any store. While she and her friend Josh were riding together on an elevator at school, Michaela leaned and gave him a quick peck on the lips. She made sure she got her first kiss, her mom said. And it goes on how now she is used her memory to raise money to, quote, fight cancer, so that the pesticide lobby can charge you $50,000 for about $5 worth of pesticide. Oh, yeah, the molecule makeup of most of the chemotherapies is basically different variants of Raid pesticide. Here's other ones. Race teams runs for pediatric cancer. 46 mothers shave their heads for childhood cancer awareness. Well-meaning good people. On and on and on. Getting Big Pharma to treat childhood cancers. ABC News. How about we talk about why the cancer is increasing instead of talking about fighting it once you get it? We had a 25-minute extended interview at the end of the nightly news last night with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, where she agreed that the Gardasil situation has been manipulated on purpose to hurt little girls. She's a medical doctor, one of the leading experts. Big deal for her to come out with that. That's coming up. I know that's the clips I told you to get. I think that's coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll play a few minutes of that and get Chapman's take on it. I haven't taken any phone calls today because I've been busy ranting and going over news. The stuff happening with the economy is just unbelievable. And it's all planned. It's all been done by design. And meanwhile, I'll also talk some about this. Abbas, the head of the Palestinian state, the Palestinian Authority, as it's called, moves for statehood. We shall not recognize a Jewish state. Netanyahu says theater of the absurd. And even if you don't agree with Netanyahu, even if you're, quote, on the Palestinian side, see, I see it's a master manipulation. I don't have a dog in the fight. See, I'm seeing the fake clash of civilizations, just like the West throwing Gaddafi out partially and putting al-Qaeda in. This is all part of destabilization. Because I know that the Western governments are manipulating this, and I know the UN's manipulating this. And I'm all for the Palestinians to have more freedom and land and to get land back that was taken, you know, in the last few wars. But it is theater of the absurd, as Netanyahu says, because Israel's an armed camp with nuclear weapons. This is about legitimizing the UN right now while they're busy running around murdering people all over the world. And so there's big clashes in the West Bank. A lot of people are obsessed with this. I get emails pouring in. I talk about it pretty much every day. And people say, I've never heard you talk about it. And it's almost kind of like, well, why talk about it then? Because the more I talk about it, the less I've supposedly talked about it. And what do you even say about this? I mean, it is just going to go on and on and on and on. There's 180-plus countries in the world. And I'm into George Washington. I'm into Ron Paul. I'm into my country and my sovereignty and my low taxes and staying out of people's business and making really good products to sell to the world. And then we'll end up being like Switzerland or Japan or something. I don't like paying for a military that is for the global corporations. I'm tired of all the militarism. I'm tired of it. I'm done. And quite frankly, I get sick at my stomach when I see either side, the mindless, pure defenders of Israel and the people that absolutely want to destroy Israel. And then the people that want to destroy Israel saying, we don't want to destroy Israel. I've gone and seen the quotes. I've actually seen them say it over and over again. So what do you expect Israel to do? That then gives the military-industrial complex in Israel carte blanche to engage in whatever activity it wants, just like every other government. Power corrupts absolutely. Power corrupts absolutely. Israel is incredibly corrupt. But so is England, so is the U.S., so is China. You know, my point is that I do not worship Israel. The people that hate Israel worship it. The people that love Israel worship it. And I've just had enough. I mean, I was brought up going to the mainline Christian churches, Baptist and evangelical, and just worship Israel 24/7, worship Israel, worship Israel. And then now I've grown up and I'm like, I don't want to get into Israel. I'm sick of it. It's a distraction. It's a globalist diversion. And it's like, well, then you're defending Israel. Or then somebody else says, you hate Israel. And it's like, no, I don't have your fetish. I'm sorry. I don't spend my waking hours just obsessed with it all day. I'm not obsessed with Mexico or Saudi Arabia for that matter. It's just, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I say cut off our foreign aid to everybody, including Israel, and just let all those groups just have it out with each other. I mean, hell, a nuclear bomb going off isn't as bad as a Chernobyl or a thing like they've had out in Fukushima. That's thousands of atomic bombs right there. So let them go and have a nuclear war over there. Just keep us out of it. Look at who the Bilderberg Group puts in as the head of the Euro. Admitted communist Von Rumpi. The whole lot of them. That's who the bankers put in is communist because they want all the money transferred to themselves. There's no end to this tyranny, and we've got to deal with it. Now, I want to play a clip dealing with vaccines with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, just an excerpt of our interview. We'll be back in about 3 minutes to get Bob Chapman's take on this. Then we're going to look at a couple other big issues that we're facing, dealing with eugenics. Then we're going to get a pop-in from Aaron Dykes and Derek McBreen on the ground for the urban warfare martial law takeover drill in Denver. But here's a clip from InfoWars Nightly News last night. There are so many TV shows, movies about mega death, billions dead, not a question of if but when. You've got to get the shot. And when you learn that this vaccine industry is a $100 billion industry a year or more, you really see that this is product placement, propaganda placement, and that's the race in the hole, is just scaring the daylights out of people.
Absolutely. And the vision statement of the pharmaceutical industry, which I learned this from a pharmaceutical insider, said that the vision statement of the entire industry is to have every single human on the planet on a minimum of 2 daily pharmaceutical drugs for their entire life. Well, how better to do that than to start with young children and making them terribly sick and have all sorts of things from asthma, allergies, eczema, ADD, ADHD that you can't really connect. Somebody told me that there was a line from that movie Contagion that said, you know, we need to make this vaccine because if 10 years from now it's causing autism, nobody will be able to connect the dots. And that's exactly what they're setting up. They want everybody sick because that promotes their widgets.
Have you found the eugenics angle in your research?
I have, and I think that it's, you know, what a lot of people say, and I would have to agree, that when World War II was over, everybody just traded in their uniforms for white coats and business suits. Nothing changed. It was life. Things just went on as usual. And I do believe that there is definitely a sinister side. And the problem that bothers me the most, Alex, is what's wrong with the 800,000 physicians in this country, that they just march to the tomb of the drug companies, that they're not willing to look at any of this information or very little of it. They don't know what's coming through that needle and being injected into adults and children. And they just absolutely stand by it and take people like me and you and other people who are exposing the truth and tell colleagues and other physicians say you're just saying all the wrong things. It's just really not true.
I'll tell you why. They've been following this system so long, they don't want to admit they were conned and were wrong. And so they're now committed to it. And I think they deceive us by even calling these vaccines. These are more nanotech, re-engineered viruses. I mean, now they've got the new classes coming out that re-engineer the brain and attack neurons that would uptake endorphins that, you know...
the fun vax.
Exactly. They're saying, no, don't be depressed anymore. I mean, this is really Buck Rogers type re-engineering of society, and they just call it vaccines, and they think, well, this is like the polio vaccine. We're saving people. Yeah, saving them with hundreds of millions exposed to cancer viruses.
Well, think about all of these girls that we were talking about just a few minutes ago that would get these injections of Gardasil, and it could be any of the. There's now kids now get 40 doses of 16 different vaccines by the time they start kindergarten. And one of the things that people have to realize when they're listening to this, and it's school season, school just started, and across the country they've been telling people that parents no shots, no school. Well, my answer to that is no shots, no school, not true. Every state except West Virginia and Mississippi have either a philosophical exemption or a medical exemption for you to opt out of your children being inoculated with all of these things. So there are a lot of ways that you could stop it, but every one of these vaccines all have horrible potential side effects. There is nothing that can come through a needle and to try to keep you healthy that you can't do for yourself just by your own diet, exercise, vitamin D, vitamin C, and all those things.
Well, Doc, that's another example of the hoax.
Exactly.
They continue to say it's the law, you've got to take it, and that's what's so wonderful about Perry being caught. We called him, it came out he didn't have the authority, it wasn't the law, and now he has to apologize, and all the other candidates are against him. Okay, there was an excerpt of the hour-long nightly news. Some nights it's 2 hours. It'll always be at least 30 minutes. We've never done only a 30-minute show. And as I beta test it and hone it, we're going to end up with a 30-minute show every night that then goes into a special report for another 30 so that cable systems that want an hour-long show can get it, or if you want a 30-minute show, you can get it. And then we're going to expand it over time into a 2, 3, 4-hour show and other news transmissions here out of our offices. We're even looking at doing a comedy show and a lot more dealing with satire. Going back to Bob Chapman. Bob, what do you think of what Sherry Tenpenny was saying? I mean, she's a mainline medical doctor. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I bring up eugenics. She wouldn't go there. In the full interview, she volunteered that this has been clearly purposefully bound to the adjuvant so that it attacks and causes an autoimmune response,